This root should not exist here. Deep under the burning sands of the Sahara Desert, something impossible was growing. Giant ginger. Not small, not normal, massive. Hidden beneath the soil, expanding silently. No one could see it at first, because unlike fruits, ginger grows underground, and what was happening below the surface was far more unusual than anyone expected. Scientists were confused, because this land has been dry for thousands of years. Nothing grows here, no roots, no crops, no life. But somehow, something had changed, and this experiment was about to reveal something unexpected. To understand how this happened, we have to go back to the beginning. Day 1. Day 1 began with one goal: prepare the ground. Because desert sand cannot grow roots, it cannot hold water, it cannot support life. So the team started digging. Not small holes, deep trenches, long and straight, measured with precision, because underground crops need controlled space. Then they brought something unusual: dark soil, rich, dense, alive, completely different from desert sand. It was mixed carefully, with minerals, with organic matter. Layer by layer, the trenches were filled. This was not natural land anymore. This was engineered soil. Then came the most important part: water. Thin black pipes were placed deep under the surface, not to flood the land, but to control every drop. Because here, water decides everything. Now the land was ready. But ginger is different. It does not grow from seeds. It grows from roots. Small pieces of ginger, cut and prepared, each one capable of becoming a new plant. They looked simple, almost ordinary, but inside they held hidden potential. Each piece was placed carefully, not too deep, not too close, because underground space is everything. The soil was pressed gently around them, protecting them from the heat above. Then the system was activated. A slow drip of water deep below the surface, invisible from above. Days passed. Nothing could be seen. No leaves, no growth, only silence. But underground, the roots were waking up. For days, nothing changed. The surface stayed empty, silent. But underground, the roots were growing, spreading slowly, searching for water. Then, one morning, something appeared. A small green shoot breaking through the soil, thin, fragile, but alive. It did not stop there. More shoots followed, one by one, across the trenches. The system was working. The plants began to rise, leaves opened under the harsh sun, and the desert started to change, from orange to green. But what was happening below was even more important, because the real growth was still underground. Above the ground, everything looked normal: green leaves, healthy plants, nothing unusual. But below the surface, something was different. The roots were growing faster than expected, much faster. Ginger normally spread slowly, but here it expanded aggressively, thicker, wider, denser. Each piece connected, absorbing water, absorbing nutrients, constantly growing. Day by day, the root system became massive, far beyond normal size. But no one could see it yet, because everything was hidden underground. And what was forming below was much bigger than anyone imagined. After weeks of growth, it was time. Harvest day. From above, nothing looked unusual, but the team knew something was different. They began digging, carefully, slowly removing the soil, layer by layer. At first, only small roots appeared, normal size, nothing special. But then they dug deeper, and everything changed. A thick structure emerged, larger than expected, much larger. The soil was removed completely, and what they found was shocking. A giant ginger root, dense, massive, far beyond natural size. No one expected this. At first, it looked like a success. The roots were massive, healthy, perfect. But then, something changed. The texture felt different, too dense, too heavy. Some roots began to harden, almost like stone. Others showed unusual patterns, not natural growth, something else. The structure inside was not normal. The balance was off. Too much water, too many nutrients. The system had pushed growth beyond natural limits, and when that happens, the result is unpredictable. Farmers began to notice. This was no longer just farming. This was something they did not fully understand. The results were clear. The growth worked, but something was wrong. The team gathered. They had to decide, continue the experiment or stop everything. Some believed this was a breakthrough, a new way to grow crops in impossible environments. Others were not convinced. The density, the structure, the unnatural patterns inside the roots, this was not normal biology. They reviewed everything, the soil mix, the irrigation system, the constant nutrient flow. Everything had been pushed too far, too efficient, too controlled. And when systems become too perfect, they lose balance. Time was running out because the soil was still active and the roots could still change. In the end, the team made a decision. They stopped the system. No more water, no more nutrients. The experiment had gone far enough. Slowly, the soil began to dry. The underground activity slowed down. The roots stopped changing. What remained was something remarkable. Giant ginger, grown in one of the harshest places on Earth. Proof that life can adapt, that growth is possible even in the desert. But also a warning. When nature is pushed too far, it does not always respond the way we expect. Sometimes the biggest success comes with the biggest risk, and in this case, control was the real challenge.